Hi, Michael Sheridan here, and welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show all about your dreams and their meanings. Today, I'm joined in studio by my good friend Susan Pullen, a woman with many skills in the spiritual field. Indeed, she's a veritable Swiss Army knife of spiritual skills. Whatever you've got, she's got a tool to help you sort it out. I met Susan a few years ago at a dream interpretation group she runs in Seattle. Yes, I know it sounds like I don't get out much, but that's only because it's true. Susan has shared some dreams with me, and as we talk, I'm going to interpret some of them. So we're staying true to the purpose of this show. What I find exciting here is that Susan is the rare breed who actually listens to her dreams so we can compare reality to her dream world. So keep that in mind, Susan. Answer honestly or we'll know from your dreams. I've had a giant spotlight installed in the studio, and if you get an answer wrong, I get to turn on the spotlight and ask you the question again. So now that you know you're good and relaxed, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, so first off, an easy question. Tell me a little bit about yourself and what started your interest in dreams.
Let's see. When I was about 4 years old, I had a recurring dream, a bad dream, and my grandmother, who was a very wonderful woman, would help me interpret my dreams. And she and I talked about dreams all the way, well, my entire life, I guess, with her. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, excellent. Okay, so you really got your punch card marked early on to keep the interest going. It's always interesting to see how that is because dream work is a big part of what you do. You're nodding.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is a big part of what I do.
Do you always listen to the advice in your dreams? Or did you always, I suppose I should say? I mean, you do now, but did you always?
No. Well, for a long time, I don't think I really understood the advice in my dreams, for one thing. But even after that, even after I understood it, I would say I was a slow learner. It took me a while to actually make some of the changes, but I like to think I've gotten faster at that now.
Okay. I want to cover my favorite dream of yours. You titled it The Live Snake Belt. I don't think I've done it on the show before, so here it is. It's a short dream. And it is, I'm wearing a live snake as a belt. It's some sort of test. I'm holding it by a collar made of a leaf. It keeps snapping at me. It's a beautiful emerald green. I'm talking to two other women. One of them is Jewish. We all used to be in the diamond trade together. And that's the dream. Seems kind of mad. What I loved about this dream, of course, is the creativeness of having the live snake as a belt. And the analysis, just to cover that. At the time, you were wondering if you could support yourself through offering counselling services linked with shamanic healing. And the dream is a direct answer to that. It identifies this as the subject matter. The green snake represents counselling, both from the colour green, which is the heart chakra, and the biblical association of the snake with wisdom. It also represents healing from the catechus used in medicine. So we have healing and counselling. Belts are also a support, so the snake being used as a belt indicates supporting yourself through counselling and healing. The dream goes further by telling you specifically to use shamanic healing involving crystals, because diamonds and emeralds are mentioned in the dream. And it encourages you by showing that refining your unique blend of skills, and that was the part I really liked, putting the collar on the snake, telling you to refine what you have, cut it down, that has great value, which is indicated by the gemstones. And despite your fears, because you said in the dream, the snake is snapping at you while you're trying to put the collar on it. So...
Yeah. So when we talked about this dream, Michael, well, definitely I was doing a lot at the time.
Did the interpretation make sense at the time?
Well, as you said, I was thinking about devoting more of turning my practice to be more life coaching, counseling with a shamanic healing addition to it, and at the time, I was teaching on, I don't know, probably dozens of different topics, lots of things about creativity and joy and gratitude and managing stress.
And I was excluded from them all because you had to be artistic. You told me you didn't. You said even drawing a bad straight line would reveal a lot about me. And that even put me off. So.
No. But I remember you saying that the dream was telling me to refine and to kind of narrow down on the things that I was doing. And that part, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I just couldn't fathom, like, what would that even mean to cut down on the huge range of things I was doing? And why would I want to do that? And I remember that night after we talked, I was brushing my teeth and thinking about it when I went to bed. And I had a dream that night that I felt like was just like a really clear answer to that question.
That's
for
true,
me.
and I have that dream here too, because it was so interesting to get that dream hot on the heels of the other one. And I keep thinking of, I don't know if you ever saw the clip of Jim Carrey talking to Meryl Streep when she won an award at the Oscars, a special award, and he claims that he told her, he improved her acting by telling her less is more. And it always comes to me with your dreams, because they're nearly always, well, for a long time they were telling you less, please, less, please. And
Yeah.
it just seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
It did,
really
yeah.
does.
It really did. Yeah.
So, okay, this dream is called The Moving Truck. And you say, an old family friend, Bob, was telling about how his wife, Carolyn, wanted to move a bunch of stuff. She chose the things she really wanted and calculated the weight and size of the truck needed to carry that weight. But it turned out that it was too heavy for the truck and it got stuck. I asked Bob if they got another just as big or bigger so that they could split it into 2 loads and take everything with them. In a compassionate way, he said, "You would like that, wouldn't you?" It's even funny in the dream. They got a second truck, smaller, and Carolyn was even more selective about the things she wanted to move. They took just those things on the smaller truck, and it was able to move fast and easy with the smaller load. And that dream really doesn't need interpretation. I mean, it's so clear, especially after the other one.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. The great thing about that dream is it gave me a really kinesthetic experience of, like, when the truck had all the stuff on it, it was weighted down and it was just an energy drain.
Yeah.
And there was like a kinesthetic experience of the truck being light and fast.
Okay,
And
I'm going to look that word up when we're off air, and if that's an insult, you're in trouble.
I felt it in my body.
Okay. You've been drawn to the spiritual field for a long time now, and when I met you, you already said before you were running dozens of different courses, and not many people could say that. Yet at the time, you were puzzled as to why you got these dreams saying pare things down. Were you always drawn to the spiritual field? I mean, it does turn a lot of people off, not people listening to this show, but like, what pulled you into that? I mean, how come you ended up teaching so many courses?
I think it's always been a part of me, really. And I was reading about shamanism when I was 12, and crystals and healing and stuff like that through middle school and high school. Took my first
Harry
shamanism.
Potter hadn't come out.
No, took my first shamanism class in '92, and then I think for a long time I tried not to be that person, and after a while it just was more about acknowledging that this is a part of who I am rather than trying to deny it.
And was your draw that you wanted to help people, or did it? Was it something that you just enjoyed doing, and helping people was a side effect? I mean, for some people, even though they love the whole idea, the talking in front of a class is a bit scary, but yet they still want to do it. So it's kind of you learn about yourself at the same time as you do, in fact, help other people.
Yeah, it was really about helping other people for me. Yeah. And life purpose has always been like a fascination of mine almost. And helping people find their life purpose, that's always been.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they read the first really eye-opening book in the spiritual field, they think, oh my gosh, I have to share this. And I was similar. I would have been about 25 when I got into it deeply, I suppose, maybe a little bit younger, but still green. And I was thinking, gosh, this is something I would really like to help other people. And then when I started analysing my own dreams, or they were analysed for me, they were all saying, yeah, well, that would really be good, wouldn't it? But you have a lot of work to do on yourself. So yeah, I did that. It used to be a huge shopping list. They wouldn't even give me the whole lot in one go. They'd say, this is enough for you to work on for now. And it's finally changed. But it's interesting. Some people, you just come in ready to hit the ground running, and other people like me, your eyes you're wearing rose-colored glasses, as they say, so you're seeing the world the way you want to see it and not seeing your own blemishes. But anyway, I've seen a unique ability in your dreams where you can adjust people's karma. Now, you've so many dreams about this, about being on the karmic path, but at the same time, they insist that you don't have any karma yourself. And that didn't make sense to me. And I see so many people, another thing that didn't make sense is I see a lot of people claim that they can clear your karma. That's just absolute rubbish. For anybody working in the spiritual field, they know a person has karma because of the way they are and because of lessons they need in their life. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about karma here. But, so it's the way that we're going to learn about ourselves, and it's the way we're going to pay our debts. It's a really important piece of how we live our lives here and part of the experiences that we have. So somebody saying that they can clear all that away is basically saying, I can make your life futile, that you're not going to do anything that you came here to do because I've cleared your karma. Because your karma is going to really keep you on your path, help you learn the lessons that you need to learn, and help you come across the people that you need to come across. So these dreams really stood out for me because of that, because the ultimate spiritual authority in your life is making a bold claim, but one I can accept. Although you'd given me other dreams on this, many other dreams in the past, the one that made me stop and investigate further was one actually I covered on the radio recently, and I'll read it out again here now. It's I'm driving across the I-90 bridge towards Seattle, heading west. Heading west is always an important thing in dreams about spirituality because it activates the heart chakra, it opens the heart. My vehicle is big and has no roof or upper part to it. It's just open. You also have many dreams where you've no roof on the car, and then you started having dreams recently, in fact, where you have no body on the car. You're just sitting in the seat. Yes, that's
true. That's true.
So it's definitely a theme in your dreams. I'm driving, but I'm on the right side of the car. I look into the water on the right, and I see a huge humpback whale just a little below the surface of the water. So we're in a channeling group together, and we channel every week, every 2 weeks. And so the humpback whale represents the channeling, your channeling, which is working, and it's working great. And this is saying something much bigger is coming to the surface. So that's really good. I'm remembering it's a dream interpretation show. I know you already know what these mean.
Yes.
I'm talking on the phone again, telling us it's about your communication to my partner as I drive, and I tell him about this remarkable sight. When I come to the tail of the whale, there is another whale, head first after it, again right along the side of the bridge, just barely below the surface. After that is another. Finally, there are two, and I think one might be a young one because it's smaller. None of them are moving, and I wonder if they are still alive. They are absolutely enormous and beautiful, kind of speckled grey and white. I wake up as I approach the tunnel at the end of the bridge. And the part that got me in this dream, of course, are they dead? Are they alive or dead? And then I'm right at the tunnel, and you're on this bridge. And anybody that will talk about near-death experiences will talk about going through this tunnel or crossing the bridge into the other world. And it just happens in so many of your dreams that are about spirituality, that you're on a bridge, nearly always the I-90, in fact. But you've even had dreams where you're on a bridge in London. And,
yes.
So it's your thing in dreams.
Yes.
And so it intrigued me as to why you had that coming up over and over again, because it is really a unique ability. And so let's have a look at it. Well, the meaning of that dream, of course, it's not so obvious in the dream, but it means that you do have the ability to change people's karma. And I had to channel on this to get it. So you can go to the causal plane. It's not that you clear the karma away, but you can move things around so that they're working on something that is relevant right now. So if you look at karma as it gives you good luck and bad luck, you could kind of say, if you're looking at it in a uneducated way. I mean, it's all good. Everything's
simplified
good.
kind of a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take away some of the misfortunes that are going to happen people, not take them away, but you can put them at the back of the queue, or you can put them in a different place. And that's really important because then that gives somebody a chance to stop and get a breath and then deal with whatever they can deal with right now, instead of everything coming at them at once. And that's really cool. And when I was telling you I was going to use this dream on the show, you had a dream. Can you pull it out now? And
yeah. So
I don't mind admitting I wanted to slap you.
So this the dream you just shared is pretty recent, from just a few weeks ago. And I knew your interpretation, and it was a little bit hard to get my head around, actually.
Yeah, because the symbols aren't all in the dream. But what bothered me was that you're always hanging around this crossing over point. Why are you hanging around the crossing over point? Because that's not a good thing usually. But for you, it's fine. Why is it fine?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And so that made me think of a dream that I had years ago. And I pulled it out this morning and I called it Karmic Numbers. And in this dream, I could see numbers over people's heads. And the numbers that were like floating over their heads were their karmic numbers. And some of those numbers were long, many digits. But I could focus on just the first one or two numbers. And when I focused on it, the other digits disappeared. And in some cases, they would rearrange.
Yeah. So that was it in a nutshell. That's really cool. I was delighted you found that dream because it plays into this so well. And all your other dreams that were much more complicated about saying the same thing. And we have some of them here. I don't know if we're going to get to them. But so people are going, what does Susan do? I'm sure we haven't covered it yet. But recently you've left secure, gainful employment. And by recent, it's like last week. I've applied for that job, by the way.
Good luck.
And you're now working full time doing exactly what is it you do?
So I've listened to my dreams. I've taken it to heart. And so I have a full-time energy healing practice doing shamanic work and healing work. And I also work with people on finding their life purpose and realizing their own intuition and keeping better energetic boundaries.
Okay. So how could you summarize, how would somebody know that they should come to you? What would be the telltale signs in their life?
Let's see, if they feel stuck. That's pretty much, I help people get unstuck. That's
about half the people, I'd say. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, and people who are holding themselves back. Like in some cases, people don't know what it is they feel drawn to, and I can help with that. And in other cases, people have a sense, but they're just, kind of in their own way about it.
What I love about the way you do things is because of your ability to see the karma, and you have another dream where you see all the threads from the spiritual plane coming down to people. You call it fishing line coming down to people. So as people are walking around, you can see all these threads. So the work you're going to do with people is not in any way going to negatively affect their karma, which is really, really good. Because I come across people, for instance, that have trained, for instance, as a healer, but they keep getting sick. And their dreams say, you're not a healer. You shouldn't be healing. And that's why, of course, you're getting sick. But people have invested money in these things and they don't want to give it up. So it's you have your work cut out in some cases. A lot of people are open, and most people are open. But, especially if you're holding yourself back, sometimes that's a great thing to hear, because then you can say, okay, tell me what I'm doing and I will stop doing it so that I can then move forward. But that's good. And just so we cover it, how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way?
My website, it's www.true-radiance.com.
Okay, we'll put that on my website after the show. I mentioned earlier that I met you on a course on a dream interpretation group that you run, and you haven't even mentioned that. So that is like you do this every 2 weeks. But when I joined your group, I had an ulterior motive. I wanted to test out my dream interpretation course on an American audience, and I suspected it wasn't American enough. My slide set didn't have enough hurrahs or pictures of guns. And actually, kidding aside, there are lots of words used differently here, and I needed to weed their usage out. It was famously said before, England and America are two countries separated by the same language. And I would find that when I would be in my stride talking about something and throw a slide up and words would go up there and people just stare blankly at me. And it's like, okay,
yes.
what did I just say that makes no sense? And it's kind of funny because Europe gets a lot of Americanisms because of Hollywood and American influence in things, especially the spiritual field, huge influence from America in the spiritual field. And but the other way around, it isn't so clear, and one simple one, stupid one, for instance, would be what we call a shopping trolley, you call a grocery cart. And the problem I have is, while I know a lot, my ex is American, and two of my kids were born in America, so I've lots of American friends. They know me too well, and they make allowances for my colloquialisms that I couldn't pick them out myself, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, Did you want to mention the dream work? Is that like a hobby, or is that why do you do that? Because you put it, it's like you say, okay, you've moved full time into this, so you're taking a plunge. You've taken a big risk. You've cut off your main source of income for something that is an income for you, but you need to grow it really, and it needs to become more stable for you. And you've also taken out loans to invest in building your workshop and a classroom. And I don't think people quite often realize that how much sometimes people put their money where their mouth is and say, okay, this is going to work. I know this is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a scary thing for you to do, and congratulations for you having the courage to do it. And I found it interesting too, though, right after the day you quit, you had a dream. Do you mind sharing? Because I don't have it written down.
Yeah. I had a dream. I was looking at the back of a long sleeve T-shirt, and it had a white collar and cuffs, and then wide beige and blue stripes.
Okay. And you were folding it up.
And I was folding it up and putting it neatly away.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you have a dream like that, rather than nightmares after you make a huge life-changing decision, it's really good. And this says, okay, the long sleeve shirt is saying that this is the choice you've had on the radar for a while. It took you a while to make this decision.
It did, yeah.
That's completely understandable.
Yeah.
But the brown tells you that what you've done is practical. The choice you've made is practical, and the blue and white together are a very good color combination. In fact, with the brown as well, it's saying that the choices you've made are practical in your life, and they're really good. And it is the right time to put this away. So that's really good. So no need to phone the old job and say, I was only kidding.
Yeah, right.
But sticking with the dream group, you epitomize. So we've seen in your dreams, you've got spiritual leadership, and spiritual leadership I've covered on the show before as it has come up in people's dreams. But it's not the typical type of leadership. It's not like President of America, although dreaming of the president can indicate that in a dream. It's where you lead with your heart. You lead with an open and compassionate heart, and you help people by listening to them and sharing yourself and doing it in a way that if the same person hits the same problem a second time, they won't need your help because you've given enough of yourself. You're not holding back, and you're not saying, I've got the secret magic formula, and next time you hit this, just come to me. It'll only cost you $500, and we'll get that sorted right out. So it's completely different. And you can see this in other things you do, because in the dream group that you have, there's 2 splinter groups within the dream group. And so you share your group. You let people do things that are different, that are a slightly different focus. One group is focusing on lucid dreams, for instance. Mm-hmm. And there's another group that meets on Tuesdays. So do you find that easy to do rather than try hold all the reins and say, no, this is my group, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. I think it's really about serving the group and, the varied interests. And I know that for some people, I'm going to be the right teacher. And for other people, I'm not. And so I want to just
I experienced that, of course. I said my ulterior motive. I decided I wanted to test out my course here, but I wanted some experts, people who had been looking at dreams for years, because if they went along with the course material I had, then that would be great. And of course, as I started the course, it was like, that gave me the jitters, because it's like, why did I pick these people? Why did I pick experts? But you had no problem with sharing that with your group and sending out broadcasts saying, hey, this guy wants to try something here. Let's give it a go. And so thank you for that. I mean,
yeah, well, and really I've found great, huge benefit from learning your system also, Michael. And it's been interesting over time. I think my dreams have actually changed to use the language of your system. Not that it didn't work before, it did, but it was just a little harder to understand. Yeah. And now I think it's like the dreams are like, oh, here's this symbol that you'll know what it means when we use it here.
Yeah.
In fact, this morning I found another dream. I was talking to someone, a family member, and she said, I just put up a bunch of mirrors in the basement. And in the dream, I thought, mirrors? Oh no, reproductive system. And I woke myself up.
Now we're all curious.
I don't know where it was going to go from there. But
you're dead right. See no evil, hear no evil.
Right. Yeah. But it's been a great benefit to me also doing the dream work with you and learning that system, because now I work with clients' dreams, and that helps me know, like, what are the things we really need to focus on, and is what we're doing working? Is it making a difference?
I liken it to, I mean, I always say certain symbols have a universal or archetypal meaning. But so, for instance, Italy would be about the heart and being passionate about things and emotionally open. And but yet, if you went on holidays to Italy and you were mugged in Italy, then that mug's the association of that symbol. So it'll have a different meaning for you. It won't be about that for you.
Yeah.
And there's many dictionaries and books about dreams out there that I equate the same way, because I thought you might bring this up. They mug the general meaning of a symbol, because, I mean, and this isn't my system, it's a system I learned from somebody else, but it actually works. And I find out from my guides, I channel on symbols and say, okay, what does this mean? And it is what it means for everybody, unless the symbol meaning has been changed for them, either by reading a book or having another personal association. So it is important to say, you read lots of books from one particular author and you're going to dream about those symbols along their system. So so it's interesting then. I wrestled your meanings back to the because I remember when you said that was funny. And it is true, your dreams got a lot easier for me to interpret after that.
Yes.
It used to be I had to take them away and work on them, like your snake belt dream, thank you. And and then they became just so straightforward, like the moving truck. You know, it's like, okay, this dream came with an interpretation. That's great.
Yes.
So, okay, what else did I want to say? Yeah, you've pared down a lot of things. I don't know if we have enough time, but you've pared down a lot of things. And one of the things you cut down, you stepped back from, is your work with the Cancer Lifeline. And you had a dream where, I can't remember the whole dream, but there was like a rat in it, and you were looking at it saying that rat could be used for a food source. I think it was for a dog. And I was saying in the dream, I couldn't figure out how you had a cancer symbol in your dream. Because you have no health warnings there. And it turned out that the dream was saying, look, don't look at the Cancer Lifeline as a source to sustain you. Step back from that. And then you had another dream you were saying later where you were told that directly.
I had another dream with a woman who told me that if I cared about the organization, I would step back from working there.
And it's always interesting then, because that allows somebody else step into do their work in the organization, which they need to do. You've finished doing what you needed to do and moving into what you're doing now. So thank you very much for coming in, Susan. I really enjoyed the chat. I wish we had longer, but we'll put this all up on the details for you up on the site later on. And people, of course, can write and ask you questions.
Yes, please. Thanks so much for having me, Michael.